Your soulmate is attempting to reach you right now. Stop everything for a moment and pay attention, because the message they are trying to send may not remain available forever. They have already opened your conversation several times. They have typed your name. They have written the first sentence. But fear keeps making them pause before pressing send. This is not because they have nothing to say. It is because what they need to reveal could completely change the connection between you. For a long time, your soulmate has been trying to convince themselves that silence is the safest choice. They believe that if they stayed quiet, no one would get hurt. They believed they could control their feelings by refusing to speak about them. But something happened recently that destroyed every excuse they had been using. Something big. Something unexpected. And now they know that waiting any longer could mean losing you permanently. My child, pause for a second. Think about the strange feeling you may have experienced recently. Perhaps you suddenly remembered them without any clear reason. Perhaps their name appeared inside your mind while you were trying to focus on something completely different. Maybe you felt an unusual heaviness in your heart, as though someone wanted to speak but could not find the courage. That feeling may not have been meaningless. At that exact moment, your soulmate may have been staring at your name. They may have been trying to decide whether they still had the right to contact you. They know they created distance. They know their silence confused you. They know there were moments when their behavior made you feel unimportant. But the truth is that you were never unimportant. You became so important that they became afraid of what your presence could change. Your soulmate has always tried to appear emotionally strong. They learned how to act unaffected. They learned how to hide longing behind ordinary conversations. They learned how to say they were fine while their heart was asking for something completely different. But you saw through them. You noticed when their smile did not reach their eyes. You noticed when their voice changed around certain subjects. You noticed the way they moved closer emotionally and then suddenly disappeared. You may have wondered why they behaved that way. The answer is not simple. Part of them wanted to surrender to the connection. Another part was terrified of becoming vulnerable. Every time they felt closer to you, old wounds returned. They remembered promises that were broken. They remembered people who disappeared after being trusted. They remembered how painful it felt to give someone access to their heart and later regret it. So when they realized their feelings for you were becoming serious, fear told them to step back. They believed distance would make the emotions disappear. But distance did the opposite. It showed them how deeply your presence had entered their life. They started missing the smallest things. The way you asked about their day. The way you understood what they meant even when their words were incomplete. The way you made ordinary moments feel meaningful. They tried talking to other people. They tried focusing on work. They tried filling every quiet moment with distractions. But when everything became still, their mind returned to you. My child, pause for a second. There is one particular moment they keep replaying. You may not even remember it clearly. Perhaps you said something kind when they were struggling. Perhaps you stayed patient during a conversation when another person would have judged them. Maybe you looked at them in a way that made them feel completely seen. Whatever happened, that moment stayed inside them. It became the moment they realized the connection was no longer temporary. They realized they did not only enjoy speaking to you. They trusted you. They cared about your happiness. They wanted to know the parts of you that other people overlooked. And once they understood that, they became frightened. Because wanting you meant risking rejection. Wanting you meant admitting that they were no longer completely in control. So they did what fear had taught them to do. They became distant. You noticed the change. At first, you tried to understand it. You reached out. You asked whether something was wrong. You gave them opportunities to explain. But your soulmate continued hiding. They said they were busy. They said they needed time. They behaved as if nothing important had happened. And slowly, your energy changed. You stopped asking. You stopped offering your heart so freely. You stopped trying to force clarity from someone who seemed determined to remain confusing. Your soulmate noticed every change. They noticed when your messages became shorter. They noticed when you stopped sharing small details about your life. They noticed when you no longer appeared as emotionally available as before. But pride told them not to react. Pride told them you would eventually return. You had always been patient. You had often been the person who repaired the distance. They thought this time would be the same. But you did not return in the way they expected. Your silence lasted. And something inside your soulmate began to panic. At first, they tried to act unaffected. They told themselves that perhaps the connection had reached its natural ending. They said they should respect your silence. They tried to convince themselves that moving forward would be easier than explaining everything. But then something happened. They heard that your life might be changing. Perhaps someone said you were considering a new opportunity. Perhaps they heard that another person had begun showing interest in you. Maybe they noticed that you seemed happier, calmer, and less emotionally connected to the past. That information hit them harder than expected. For the first time, your soulmate imagined a future where you no longer waited. They imagined someone else giving you the consistency they failed to provide. They imagined you laughing with another person. They imagined you sharing your dreams with someone who was not afraid to choose you. And the thought created a pain they could not ignore. That was when they realized silence was not protecting the connection. Silence was ending it. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate has already written a message for you. It begins with an apology. They want to tell you they are sorry for making you question your place in their heart. They are sorry for acting distant when their feelings were becoming stronger. They are sorry for expecting you to understand emotions they refuse to explain. But the apology is only the beginning. There is something else inside the message. A confession. They want to tell you that they love you. Not in a temporary way. Not only because they miss your attention. They love the way your presence makes them want to become more honest. They love the way you can be strong without losing your softness. They love that you have boundaries. They love that you care deeply without trying to control them. They love the real version of you. The version that becomes tired. The version that sometimes overthinks. The version that has been hurt but still chooses kindness. Your soulmate has seen more of you than you realize. They remember details you probably forgot. They remember certain words you spoke months ago. They remember the expression on your face when you were trying not to reveal your feelings. They remember moments when you stood near them and the rest of the world seemed quieter. They have carried those memories through every period of distance. But now they are afraid the confession may arrive too late. That is why they are attempting to reach you right now. They know something is about to change. An opportunity may take you away. A decision may close the emotional door. Someone else may finally offer you the kind of love you have been waiting to receive. Your soulmate knows they cannot demand that you stop your life for them. They know they have no right to ask you to remain alone while they struggle to become ready. They only want you to know the truth before you decide what happens next. They want to give you a choice based on honesty, not confusion. But there is a reason they have not pressed send yet. Someone has been warning them not to contact you. Someone close to your soulmate believes the connection should remain unfinished. This person has said that reaching out will make your soulmate look weak. They have said your silence is already an answer. They have told your soulmate that if you truly cared, you would have contacted them first. For a while, your soulmate listened. The words matched their fear. They did not want to feel rejected. They did not want to appear desperate. They did not want to admit how deeply your silence affected them. But recently, your soulmate discovered something about the person giving this advice. The person may not be as neutral as they appeared. They may have a hidden reason for wanting both of you to remain apart. Your soulmate noticed a pattern. Every time they planned to contact you, this person appeared with a warning. Every time your soulmate felt hopeful, the person brought information designed to create doubt. They claimed you were moving on. They claimed you had spoken negatively about the connection. They claimed you never felt as deeply as your soulmate did. But when your soulmate asked for proof, the answers became unclear. No direct message. No exact conversation. Only assumptions. Your soulmate started questioning everything they had been told. Then they learned that this same person had spoken to you too. They may have advised you to stop waiting. They may have told you that your soulmate had chosen someone else. They may have described the silence as proof that the connection was imaginary. Suddenly, the distance between you began making sense. Someone had been speaking to both sides. They were not creating one enormous lie. They were planting small doubts. Just enough doubt to make each of you step back. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that both of you may have been reacting to information that was never true. They thought you had stopped caring. You may have thought they had never cared. They believed your silence was rejection. You may have believed their distance was indifference. But beneath all of that confusion, both hearts were still connected. Your soulmate confronted the person. At first, the person denied interfering. They said they were only trying to protect everyone. They claimed the connection was too complicated. They said both of you were becoming emotionally affected by something that might never work. But your soulmate asked a direct question. Why are you so afraid of us speaking honestly? The person had no answer. Their expression changed. Their voice became defensive. And in that moment, your soulmate knew there was more to the story. They continued asking questions. Eventually, the person admitted they had hidden something. A message. Months ago, your soulmate had written to you. It was not the message they are writing now. It was an earlier confession. They had told you how they felt. They had asked whether you would meet them. They believed the message had been sent. But you never answered. Your soulmate thought your silence was the answer. That was one of the main reasons they stopped trying. Now they have discovered that the message may never have reached you. Someone had access to the device, account, or place where it was sent. Someone removed it before you could read it. When your soulmate learned this, they broke down. They thought about all the time that had been lost. They thought about how differently the connection might have unfolded if you had seen the truth. They thought about the pain of believing you had rejected them when you may never have known they were reaching out. But the shock did not end there. There was also a message from you. Something you sent during a period when their distance had become unbearable. You told them you cared. You asked for clarity. You said you could accept the truth, even if the truth hurt, but you could no longer remain trapped in uncertainty. Your soulmate never saw that message. It was hidden too. Both of you reached out. Both messages disappeared. Then each of you was left believing the other had chosen silence. Your soulmate has now read your message. They cried when they saw it. They realized that while they believed you no longer cared, you were asking them for the exact honesty they were too afraid to give. They read your words again and again. They noticed that you were not demanding perfection. You were not asking them to make an impossible promise. You were only asking them to speak. And because someone removed the message, they never answered. Your soulmate feels ashamed. Not only because the message was hidden. Because there were still other moments when they could have contacted you directly. They allowed one silence to become many. They allowed fear to make assumptions. They trusted outside voices instead of trusting the connection enough to ask you. They understand that interference does not remove their responsibility. That is something they want to admit when they finally reach you. They will not pretend they were completely innocent. Someone manipulated the situation, but your soulmate's fear made the manipulation possible. They are ready to take responsibility for that. My child, pause for a second. The message they are trying to send now contains evidence. Screenshots. Dates. The original confession. Your message that never reached them. They want you to see everything. But they are not sending the evidence to pressure you into forgiving them. They want to remove the confusion. They want your next decision to be based on truth. If you still choose to walk away, they will respect it. If you need time, they will give it. If part of you still cares, they are ready to rebuild slowly. But there is something bigger hidden behind the missing messages. The person who interfered was not only afraid of your romantic connection. They were afraid that if you and your soulmate began comparing stories, you would discover something connected to the past. There is an old photograph. Your soulmate received it after the confrontation. The photograph shows you and them in the same place years before either of you believes you first met. You are both younger. Perhaps children. Perhaps teenagers. You are standing near each other at a family or community gathering. And behind both of you stands the person who interfered. Your soulmate does not remember that day clearly. You may not remember it either. But on the back of the photograph is a sentence. Do not let them remember what happened. Your soulmate has been staring at those words. They do not know who wrote them. They do not know what happened after the picture was taken. But they now understand why someone might have feared the two of you speaking honestly. The connection may not have begun recently. Your paths crossed before. Something happened. Something both families may have chosen to hide. Your soulmate is not going to make wild assumptions. They are gathering facts. They want to show you the photograph and ask what you remember. They want to compare the pieces without allowing another person to decide what the truth should be. But first, they need to send the message. The one open on their screen right now. Their finger is hovering above the button. Their hands are trembling. They know pressing it may reopen your pain. They know you may not respond immediately. But remaining silent has already cost too much. They close their eyes. They remember your hidden message. They remember the words you wrote. I can accept the truth. I cannot continue living inside confusion. Your soulmate whispers that sentence. Then they make a decision. No more confusion. No more hidden feelings. No more allowing other people to speak for either of you. They press send. The message is moving toward you now. When it arrives, the first line will say, please stop for a moment and read everything. I found the message you sent, and I need you to know I never ignored it. Then you will see the confession they wrote months ago. You will see the proof that both messages were hidden. You will see the photograph from the forgotten gathering. And at the end, there will be one request. Please let me speak to you directly before someone changes the story again. Your soulmate is not asking you to forget the past. They are asking you to hear the truth. They are not demanding love. They are offering honesty. And for the first time, they are ready to accept whatever honesty gives them in return. But there is one final thing they have not yet discovered. The person who interfered has just learned that the new message was sent. They are panicking. They have contacted someone connected to your family. They are trying to locate another photograph. A photograph taken only minutes after the first one. According to an old relative, that second image reveals what happened between you and your soulmate that day. It shows an object being placed in your hand. It shows both families reacting. And it shows why someone decided the connection had to be erased. Your soulmate is attempting to reach you right now because the truth is moving quickly. The message has been sent. The old silence is breaking. And once you open what they have shared, neither of you will be able to believe that the distance happened naturally. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate is waiting for the notification that says you have read it. They are afraid. They are hopeful. And beneath every emotion, one truth remains. They never stopped wanting to reach you. They only believed the door had been closed. Now they know someone else may have been holding it shut. And this time, they are determined to open it with the truth. You opened the message. The first sentence was exactly what your soulmate promised it would be. Please stop for a moment and read everything. I found the message you sent, and I need you to know I never ignored it. Your heart began beating faster. For months, you had carried the belief that they saw your honesty and chose silence. You believed they read every vulnerable word. You believed they understood how deeply the uncertainty was affecting you. And still, you thought they decided not to answer. Now, for the first time, you were looking at proof that the story may have been completely different. Your soulmate sent screenshots. The message you wrote was there. The date was correct. The time was correct. Every word matched your memory. But beneath the message was an activity record showing that it had been opened from another device. Then it was deleted. Not by your soulmate. By someone who had access to their account. You stared at the screen, trying to understand how another person had been able to enter something so private. Then you saw the next screenshot. It was your soulmate's confession. The one they believed they had sent to you months ago. It began with your name. Then came the words you had waited so long to hear. I have tried to hide what I feel because I was afraid of what would happen if I admitted it. But the truth is, I love you, and distance has not changed that. Your eyes moved slowly over the rest of the message. Your soulmate explained that they were afraid of becoming emotionally vulnerable. They admitted that every time the connection became deeper, they pulled away. They said they knew their behavior had hurt you. They asked for one chance to speak openly. And at the end, they promised that if you no longer wanted the connection, they would respect your answer. But you had never received it. The message had been opened from the same unfamiliar device. Then removed. Both of you had tried to reach each other. Both messages had been seen by someone else. And both had disappeared before honesty could become a conversation. My child, pause for a second. The pain you are feeling in this moment is not only about the missing messages. It is about everything that happened after them. All the nights you questioned your worth. All the moments your soulmate believed they had been rejected. All the opportunities that were lost because someone wanted silence to continue. You called your soulmate immediately. They answered before the first ring finished. Neither of you spoke at first. You could hear them breathing. Then they said your name softly. You asked one direct question. Who did this? Your soulmate gave you the name. It was the same person who had been advising both of you to move on. The same person who told your soulmate that you no longer cared. The same person who told you that your soulmate had already made their choice. This person had appeared helpful, protective, concerned. But now the pattern was impossible to ignore. They had access to the messages. They had access to both sides of the story. And they had been using that position to control what each of you believed. Your soulmate told you about the confrontation. At first, the person denied everything. They said the activity records were misunderstood. They claimed they had only opened the account to help with something unrelated. But when your soulmate showed them the exact dates, their explanation changed. They admitted deleting the messages. They said they did it because the connection was becoming dangerous. Your soulmate asked what danger they meant. The person said the two of you were too emotionally involved. They said if the relationship continued, old family problems would return. That was when your soulmate showed them the photograph. The old image of both of you standing in the same place years before you believed you first met. The person's face changed immediately. They asked where the photograph had been found. Your soulmate realized they recognized it. They knew what happened that day. My child, pause for a second. Sometimes a person reveals the truth before they speak. Their silence changes. Their eyes move. Their body becomes defensive. That is exactly what happened. Your soulmate asked why the photograph contained the words. Do not let them remember what happened. The person refused to explain. They said the past should remain buried. They claimed remembering would only create pain. But your soulmate was no longer willing to accept another vague warning. They demanded to know what had happened between both families. The person finally admitted that the gathering was arranged for a reason. It was not an ordinary celebration. Several older relatives wanted to repair a conflict that had divided the families for years. You and your soulmate were brought into the same place because some people believed a new generation could create peace where the older generation had failed. Nothing was officially decided. You were both young. But during the gathering, an object was exchanged. Your soulmate gave you a small token. They had been told it represented trust between the families. When you accepted it, several adults became emotional. Some were hopeful. Others became angry. An argument began almost immediately. Someone insisted the token belonged to an old family agreement. Someone else said it should never have been placed in your hands. The gathering ended suddenly. The families separated again. And both of you were told to forget the meeting. Your soulmate asked why the token mattered so much. The person said it was connected to missing documents. Years earlier, the families had shared ownership of land, money, or a business arrangement. When the agreement collapsed, each side accused the other of betrayal. But the token was part of a system used to identify the original records. There were two matching pieces. One remained with your soulmate's family. The other was supposed to remain with yours. Together, they could reveal where important documents had been hidden. The person who interfered was afraid you still had the token. They believed that if you and your soulmate reconnected, the two pieces might be brought together. That would expose what really happened during the old conflict. You listened in silence. The story felt unbelievable. But then you remembered something. A small object hidden among your childhood belongings. You had found it once, years ago. You did not know where it came from. It had two initials engraved on one side. You had always assumed they belonged to an older relative. Now you wondered whether they were yours and your soulmate's. You told your soulmate. Their voice changed. They said their family had a matching object. It was stored inside a locked box. They had seen it only once. And it contained the same symbol visible in the photograph. Your soulmate asked you to find your token. You went to the place where old belongings were kept. Cards. Photographs. Small objects from years you barely remembered. At the bottom of one box, wrapped in faded cloth, you found it. The token. Your hands trembled as you held it. You described the symbol. Your soulmate became silent. It matched. Then you noticed something else. There was a line around the edge. The token could be opened. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate asked you not to force it. They were afraid something delicate might be hidden inside. You carefully pressed the edges. The token separated into two thin pieces. Inside was a folded strip of paper. The writing was faded, but still readable. You read the words aloud. When both pieces return, take them to the place where the first promise was made. The truth was divided so no single person could destroy it. Your soulmate whispered that the second token may contain the location. They immediately went to retrieve it. While you remained on the phone, you heard them opening drawers and moving through the room. Then everything became quiet. The locked box was empty. The matching token had been removed. Your soulmate knew it had been there recently. Only a few people had access. One of them was the person who deleted the messages. The interference was no longer only emotional. Someone was actively trying to prevent the two tokens from being brought together. Your soulmate called the person again. There was no answer. Then a message arrived from an unknown number. It contained a photograph of the missing token. Underneath it were 7 words. Stop contacting them, and this stays hidden. Your soulmate sent the screenshot to you. You felt anger rise inside your chest. Someone believed they could still control the connection by threatening to hide information. But this time, the method was visible. Neither of you was standing alone with half a story. You were speaking directly. Comparing evidence. Refusing to let silence decide what happened next. Your soulmate said they wanted to meet you immediately. You almost agreed. Then you noticed something in the photograph of the stolen token. Behind it was part of a room. A wall. A small framed picture. The location looked familiar. You zoomed in. The framed picture showed the same gathering where you and your soulmate had first met. The person holding the token was somewhere connected to that old event. You told your soulmate. They enlarged the photograph. Then they recognized the room. It belonged to an older relative. Someone who had been believed to know nothing about the missing messages. Someone respected by both families. Your soulmate realized the person who interfered may not have been acting alone. The deleted messages. The hidden photographs. The stolen token. All of it may have been part of a larger effort to keep the old conflict buried. Your soulmate wanted to go to the house immediately. You stopped them. You reminded them that urgency had already been used to control both of you. Running into the situation emotionally could destroy evidence or place them in danger. For once, your soulmate listened. They agreed to save every screenshot. They agreed to involve someone trustworthy. And they agreed that both of you would meet in a public place first. This was different from the past. Your soulmate was not making decisions alone. They were not hiding the situation to protect you. They were allowing you to choose how involved you wanted to become. My child, pause for a second. Before ending the call, your soulmate asked whether you hated them. The question came from a place of fear. They knew someone else had interfered. But they also knew they had allowed fear to create distance long before the messages were deleted. You answered honestly. You said you did not hate them. But you were hurt. You told them the interference explained some of the silence, not all of it. There were many moments when they could have spoken directly. Many moments when they chose pride. Many moments when they allowed assumptions to become truth. Your soulmate did not defend themselves. They said you were right. They admitted that someone used their fear, but the fear already existed. They had to take responsibility for healing it. They did not ask for immediate forgiveness. They asked for the chance to show change through action. You agreed to one conversation. Nothing more was promised. No instant reunion. No perfect ending. Only truth. That was enough for your soulmate. They began crying quietly. They told you the words they had written in the deleted confession. I love you. I was afraid to say it, but silence has already caused more pain than honesty ever could. This time, you heard the words directly. No hidden account. No person standing between you. No deleted message. You did not answer immediately. You allowed the words to exist without rushing your heart. Then you told them you would meet. But before the call ended, another message arrived. This one was sent to both of you. The sender had somehow included both numbers. It contained an image of the two tokens placed beside each other. The missing token was no longer separated from yours. But your token was still in your hand. That meant a third token existed. A duplicate. Or perhaps the object you were holding was not the original. Beneath the photograph was a sentence. You both remember the wrong version of that day. Your soulmate read it aloud. The room became silent. Then a second image arrived. It showed the old gathering from another angle. You and your soulmate were not only standing together. You were holding both tokens. And behind you, an older relative was opening a hidden compartment in the wall. Inside that compartment was a document. Something both families had spent years searching for. The photograph proved the truth had once been found. But if that was true, why did no one remember it? Who removed the document? Who separated the tokens? And why were you and your soulmate told that the meeting never happened? My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate is no longer trying only to confess their love. They are trying to understand why someone erased an entire moment from both of your lives. Tomorrow, you will meet. You will bring your token. Your soulmate will bring the screenshots and the original photograph. Together, you will compare everything. But the person controlling the hidden story already knows the meeting is planned. They send one final message. Come alone, or the complete truth disappears forever. Your soulmate looks at the warning. Then they call you again. They make one promise. No matter what is hidden inside the past, they will not allow anyone to separate your voices again. This time, you will face the truth together. And when the missing document is finally opened, you may discover that the person who kept you apart was not protecting an old family secret. They were protecting the real reason you and your soulmate were brought together in the first place.